Chair, we are now live with the Board of Adjustment.
Okay. The meeting will now come to order. Welcome to the October 25th, 2021 City of Asheville Board of Adjustments meeting. My name is Pratik Bhakta, and I'm the chair of the board. The Board of Adjustments is a quasi-judicial body that is governed by the North Carolina General Statutes and the city's Unified Development Ordinance. We are authorized to hear requests for variances from the city's Unified Development Ordinance, appeals from final determinations made by city officials charged with enforcement of the city's Unified Development Ordinance, requests for reasonable accommodations, and other requests as may be provided in the city's ordinances. All committee members and staff are participating virtually. We appreciate your patience as we work through committee meetings a bit differently. We are streaming live on our virtual engagement hub, which is accessible through the virtual engagement hub link on the front page of the city website, also linked on the Board of Adjustments page. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone. Dial 855-925-2801, and when prompted, enter code 9255. Again, I'll restate that for anyone listening. The public may participate by dialing 855-925-2801, and when prompted, enter code 9255. The automated system will ask you to press *3 to be heard. And for those of you out there with us today, welcome. I will now go through and introduce all committee members who are participating virtually. Make sure you unmute your microphone and then mute it again if you are speaking and not speaking. When you have a question or would like to speak, unmute your microphone. Please remember to mute your phone after you are done speaking so we avoid background noise. Committee members, as I call your name, please say a quick hello. Bill Newman.
Hey, Pratik.
Suzanne Godsey.
Good afternoon.
Paul Wazinski.
Hi.
And myself, Pratik Bhakta. There are only 4 members today, and for variances to be granted, there has to be 4 yes votes out of 4 today. Ordinarily, it would be 4 out of 5. Then also with us today is our assistant attorney, Eric Edgerton, and who will, also like anyone speaking today, including staff, to state their names and titles for the record before speaking. To help our audience follow along, I'll state each section of the agenda aloud and do a vocal roll call for each vote. Additionally, I ask that committee members raise their hand or just interrupt if we need to state any questions or comments. We have 2 agenda items, and the third obviously is our meeting minutes, and wanted to find out if we had the July meeting minutes prepared. Ricky?
No, we still don't have those prepared. I'm hoping that by November we will have them done.
Okay. What about the September minutes?
They are, and I received them real recently, but I didn't want to send them on top of so late in the day on Friday. Okay. So they came in very late. So I know they're very extensive. They were kind of lengthy, and I didn't think that was going to be enough time. So
okay. So we'll postpone the July and September meeting minutes approval until the November meeting.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we'll begin the evidentiary hearings for the cases listed in the agenda. In hearing cases, the board conducts a quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing. That means it is like a court hearing. State law sets specific procedures and rules concerning how this board must make its decisions. These rules are different from other types of land use decisions like rezoning cases, which are legislative in nature. This board's decisions are constrained by the standards in the city's ordinance and the facts presented at the hearing. The board hears and considers evidence presented at the hearing and applies the standards set forth in state law and city's ordinance. The board must base its decision upon competent, material, and substantial evidence presented at the hearing. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and standards, not personal preferences or opinions. Participation is limited. This meeting is open to the public. Everyone is welcome to watch. Parties have rights to participate fully. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, and make legal arguments. Witnesses may testify as to facts to which they are competent to testify, so long as those facts relate to the legal standards. In addition, lay or non-expert witness testimony is limited to facts, not opinions. For certain topics, this board needs to hear opinion testimony from expert witnesses. These topics include projections about impacts on property values, projections about impacts on traffic safety. For variance requests, again, 4/5 of the board is required to grant the variance. Today, we only have 4 members. For all other hearings and matters, including the adoption of the minutes, the decision will be made by a simple majority of the board. Witnesses must swear or affirm their testimony. At this time, we will administer the oath for all individuals who intend to provide witness testimony. Okay. To all, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Everyone?
I do.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I do.
All right. We have 2 variance requests today. The first is the petitioner Brent Campbell Architecture on behalf of the owner Stephen and Kimberly Rosas. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Are requesting a variance to the front setback development standards found in section 7-12-4H of the steep slope and ridgetop development of the UDO. The second is the petitioner Marnie Graves. On behalf of the owner, Scott and Allison Blake are requesting a variance to the maximum grading allowance development standard found in section 7-12-4F. Again, steep slope and ridgetop development grading of the Unified Development Ordinance. We will now start with the first case, and I hand it over to you, Mr. Hurley.
Thank you, Chair. So I just want to make sure we had spoke with the applicants on both cases. I just want, so we get on the record that they understood that they need 4 votes out of the 4 sitting board members to grant a variance if they understood and wanted to proceed with that today. And we understood that that was correct. Just double checking since we're now live and on record.
Yeah, for us, that's right. We would like to proceed.
All right. Thank you.
Same here.
All right. All right. All right. All right. Thank you to both applicant parties. Appreciate that. All right. I'm going to present here now. We'll get started. And I am Ricky Hurley. I'm with the Development Services Department. And let's get started here with Macaulay Place. Hopefully you see on your screen 124 Macaulay Drive. Okay, so as it was introduced, the property is zoned to RS2. Is steep slope. Almost the entire property is within Zone A and or Zone B. If you are in steep slope, the 35-foot front setback is automatically reduced from 35 to 20 if it will reduce the amount of grading necessary to place the home. The petitioners are stating that there's an extremely wide or unusually wide right-of-way in this area in front of the lot. And so they're requesting, instead of a 20-foot front setback, but something in the nature of 0 to 1 feet. And so that's why it shows a 20-foot variance or 100% reduction here on the slide, as opposed to a 35-foot setback. So in the center of the slide, you'll see it's kind of hard, but in very light blue and outline in the very center is the subject property zoned RS2. Bowcatcher Heights is directly to the east on the kind of the east flank of Bowcatcher Mountain. And the Mission Hospital complex is due south of here. Hospital Drive is just on the very bottom center of our screen. A little bit more zoomed in aerial photo of this area. You can see Macaulay Drive kind of arcs back from the south, joining Reservoir Road. The area here just to the east, that's actually a cell tower development here that's on city property. The northernmost lot has been developed. This is a 2019 aerial photo. So you can see some grading work was just beginning to access that lot. And there's been a home constructed to the south. I don't know if it's either this lot or the adjacent lot. The petitioners may have better idea on that one. And I know it's kind of small. I can zoom in, try to zoom in a little bit, but this is the subdivision plat that created. That didn't work very well. I'm going to do it 200% just to show the lot. This is the lot here, kind of the center right. When the Sisters of Mercy subdivided the property back several years ago, I think it was about 2008. So Macaulay Drive comes up the east side of the subdivision. It was a new road at the time. And I'll go back here so we don't. And just the applicant presented plan profiles. I'll let either Jason or Aaron talk through this, but these are some examples. Obviously, this is 116. I think that's the existing home, if I'm correct. And then they had several proposed site plans. I believe this is the proposed or desired outcome is exhibit I call 2A. And this is also showing with the variance what that house would look like with the driveway. And then they show a couple comparisons with the full 20-foot setback applied here. I believe one of the things here is that shows the resultant driveway that would come down the slope to the home. And then exhibit 4A, I believe, shows a more realistic driveway slope. I'll let Mr. Gillian, he knows more about driveway slopes than I do. And Aaron does too, Ms. Foy, and also shows a driveway slope here as well. I'll go back to the staff report just to state. So as mentioned, it's a 1.2 acre property. The majority of it is in Zone A. It was platted in July 11th of 2008. So it was after steep slope went into effect in 2007. The majority of the property is Zone A, with the area along Macaulay Road, a sliver of Zone B. There was about, the average natural slope here is 38.79. They can grade 25% of the Zone B and 35% of the Zone A. And then there, of course, toward the end, there's some considerations. With that, I'll let the much more knowledgeable design professionals, Ms. Foy and Mr. Gillian, explain these cross sections. We had a very lengthy conversation in a pre-application meeting, and I think they do a much more excellent job in explaining what's going on here, the technical difficulties of the property. So Aaron or Jason, I'll let y'all take over from here. Let me know if you would rather me go over to the board packet or if you want to stay on the slideshow.
Yeah, I guess if you want to step back, Ricky, to the first exhibit.
Okay. Let me get back
The
here.
116 Macaulay.
Yes, sir.
And we'll just kind of start there.
Yes, sir.
And I'll pull it up on my screen too, so I can. So, as Ricky mentioned, the right-of-way that fronts this parcel is abnormally wide, and when we went back to its plat, original plat, there was some utilities that were planned for on this side of the road that inevitably, when we have the as-built survey were built on the other side of the road. So we're not quite sure why in front of this parcel, the width of the right-of-way is much more extensive than its neighboring parcel 116 Macaulay, which is directly to the south and is not currently developed. It was the first parcel on Macaulay that was developed. So in an effort to do a comparison, 116 Macaulay, as you're looking at, like I said, it's not currently developed, but we took our client's house cross-section and applied it to the parcel at 116 Macaulay. You can see from the right-of-way as platted is 14 feet behind the back of curb on 116 Macaulay. On our parcel, let me pull it up. Sorry. On our parcel, the right-of-way is 30 feet 8 inches behind the back of curb, a difference of 16 feet, 17 feet. So with the front setback reduction on Macaulay from a 35 to a 20 because it's in a steep slope, that 34 feet-ish from the back of curb to the front of the structure would be something permissible on that lot without that parcel gaining a variance. So next exhibit, please. So what would be desirable from our client's standpoint, given the extensive width of this right-of-way, the steep slope, limiting grading and disturbance, and having an application similar to a neighboring lot, the request is to reduce that front setback to have a situation similar to what they would be able to develop. And that this is in plan form, which would minimize disturbance and grading activity. And then the section speaks for itself, where we can basically have the upper finished floor with a relationship to the street. Again, with a similar, we show it a few feet, 3 feet closer than what the neighboring property, but in essence, we're wanting to have some similar application to that. Next. If we were to adhere to the 20-foot setback, which we could do, next slide, that obviously the disturbance limits gets greater, but without doing an extensive driveway, that driveway grade would be 24%, which is not desirable from a design professional standpoint. We like to draw driveways at 18-20% grade or less. In order to have a similar relationship between finished floors on the upper level and the lower level, and a stem wall in the rear of the building, that footprint and height above existing grade is exactly the same as the zero setback application. And in order to accomplish that, we would have a 24% driveway entering the property down below the road. And next slide. And we just wanted to demonstrate that in order to get a 20% driveway grade, it would, which would be desirable, we would obviously adhere to the 35-foot front setback. Much more grading activity would occur, but that's what this application starts to look like to get a desirable driveway grade on this particular parcel. And it's evident on the section as well. Oh, no, sorry. Even at that location, in order for the finished floors and the stem wall in the rear to have a similar situation as it would at the 0% setback, we're actually at a 27% grade. So in order to accomplish a 20% grade, we would have to create a switchback of some sort and really, disturb a majority of this parcel, which is not desirable to our clients. And if I've missed anything, Aaron, please fill in the blanks.
No, I think that sums it up pretty well.
Does anyone have any questions?
Hey, Jason,
Yes.
did y'all hear back from transportation about any like partial right-of-way closure or?
I do know Aaron reached out, and to the best of my knowledge, we did not get a response.
We did not, yes, that's right. We did not get a response.
Okay.
But we did, Ricky encouraged us to reach out to transportation, see if there was any consideration for a right-of-way reduction, which is an extensive process, but to date, they have not responded to that entertainment.
Jason, do you want to go through, it was really small print. I'm not sure if everybody could see the amount of grading disturbance on each of those three plans. It was, I
Sure.
read at the bottom, it may be helpful for the board to know that.
Sure. So with the requested variance, our disturbance would be, and this is a rough guess, and this is pretty accurate on this one, because we wouldn't have essentially on either side or the downhill of the house is all meeting at grade. So it would be disturbed and cleared, but not necessarily grading activity from a manipulation standpoint. And that particular, we have 7,288 square feet of disturbance. In the 20-foot setback, that increases to 9,005 square feet. And if we were at I don't even know if we can say on the 35-foot setback or the driveway access, because this is not something that I would recommend to the client. We would probably need to make a switchback and to the north and place the house more centrally in the lot to get a 20% driveway grade. And I think we would exceed the 25% disturbance, but what I'm demonstrating in plan form currently would be 11,000, just shy of 11,500 square feet, or 22%. So, to get a desirable driveway grade, not 27%, not 24%, I think we could be in the realm of exceeding that disturbance limit if we wanted to accomplish a reasonable driveway grade. And I'd like to reiterate, in all these scenarios, we took the relationship of the house to existing finished grade, their finished floor elevations, and the stem wall in the rear is all consistent with the requested variance location. So we're not improving that from a foundation standpoint in any scenario. And if
Uh-huh.
anybody has been to the site, you can see, you can stay right on this exhibit, the northern end of our disturbance limits touches an existing stormwater infrastructure associated with the road, and 2-to-1 fill slopes that stretch both north and west. It would not, and there's a guardrail on fronting the road on this parcel, essentially from that stormwater infrastructure to the northernmost corner of the property. It would not be desirable to access the property north of that stormwater location. And it would be very challenging to create driveway access on that existing 2-to-1 slope. And most likely you would have to cross the discharge of that stormwater infrastructure, which is also not desirable from a planning standpoint or, stormwater drainage control standpoint.
I had a question. If you could go to
20-foot setback exhibit.
either one. For this one, or even if you were to get the variance and place the house at the property line or close to it, are you going to fill the front yard, or is that going to be a bridged gangplank kind of driveway?
We had conversations regarding that. We have done a preliminary grading plan for both this scenario and the zero setback, and there would need to be a wall on the northern side, but we believe we can grade the southern portion of the driveway in between the driveway and the house. So in that scenario, we would backfill. We have had conversations about the bridging, but I don't think there's anything conclusive about that yet.
If you were to keep the house the 20-foot setback and you didn't fill in the front yard, you would essentially not have to count that front yard as disturbed area, just as a matter of kind of looking at your limits of disturbance.
In the 20-foot setback scenario, the bridge would be challenging because then we would have 2 full stories underneath the 2 living spaces, because we wouldn't be gaining any grade change. So, and then we would exceed the height requirement.
Gotcha. That's what I wanted to hear. Okay.
So the 20 can bridge on the zero setback, but I'm not confident we can bridge without getting into some other challenges on the 20-foot setback.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else from the petitioner?
You mentioned something earlier, Jason, about the utilities and what you found. I think this is a fully developed dead-end street. There's no plans to develop further, and everything is set in terms of the city utilities and so forth?
Correct. So we've got water and Duke in the street, and the only utility that hops the curb and gutter on that fronts this parcel is AT&T, and it's about a foot or 18 inches behind the back of curb. So it's not anything that would be altered. But as I stated, the water was originally platted outside of the roadway, but within the right-of-way on the east side. And I'm curious, is that why the right-of-way was platted so wide? But again, during installation, that did not occur. It's underneath the sidewalk and the roadway on the east side of Macaulay, so there is no utility conflicts. There would be no utility conflicts with our request.
Okay. Anything further? Any follow-up questions or anything? Nope. Okay. I'm gonna close it off and open up public comment. Do we have any callers?
We do. We have 2 callers on the line. If any of y'all want to speak, press 3 or star 3. So it doesn't appear that anybody wants to speak.
Okay. I'm going to close public comments and open it up for the board for discussions. Questions, comments, motion?
Yeah, this is Paul. I move to grant the request for the variance.
Okay, I have a motion on the table.
This is Bill. I'll second the motion.
We have a second. Any further discussions? Okay, let's take it to a vote. Suzanne Godsey,
Aye.
Paul Wazinski,
Aye.
Bill Newman,
Aye.
and Pratik Bhakta as an aye. Motion is granted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody. Thanks for your time.
All right, let's move on to the next agenda item. Morny Graves on behalf of owners Scott and Allison Blake. Mr. Hurley?
Give me just a second. My Chromebook is lagging, bringing something up here.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You would be surprised at our slow Wi-Fi here. So it just takes a minute for it to come up. I'm watching here on the OBS. All right, so we do have 258 Vance Gap Road, gradient allowance variance. So as mentioned earlier, we have Ms. Graves and Mr. Blake on the meeting with us today. So UDO 7124 F1, as everybody's pretty familiar with, is steep slope gradient allowance. This was adopted, in July of 2007. the parcel currently, based on the petitioner's evidence submitted, thank you, Ms. Graves, is about 9,978 square feet of land disturbance, or is occupied by driveways and a paved fire truck kind of cul-de-sac turnaround. The petitioner is requesting 6,200 square feet of disturbance to allow the construction of a house. Based on the Zone B area of the parcel, it's about 2,500 foot in elevation and a 15% allowance for the parcel size. You would be allowed 6,228 square feet. And I'll note further down in the report, just when me and Marnie were talking, is that the steep slope calculator indicates the parcel is 40.17%. And I'll just say that a lot of times that comes out a little bit higher from time to time. And there's some evidence submitted that indicates the lot is actually a little bit less steep, so much that it actually moves it from a 15% limit to a 25% limit. But anyway, I went with what we had independently. So that's why it shows an applicant request of 16,178. So it may not be quite as big difference later down when we get down here in the evidence material. Anyway, here's the zoning map. As you'll see in that kind of light tan area, that's all RS2 with the contour lines, and that's kind of busy. The kind of the eastern portion is about the 2,500 contour line, and it goes up from there to about 2,570, 2,575. The larger white area or blank area to the northeast, that's actually county zoning that was outside of our city limits and former ETJ. Immediately to the south, that says not zoned. That is the cut through Bowcatcher Mountain for I-240. And here's a aerial photo again from 2019, subject property. We talk about the cul-de-sac. That's kind of the south central area here in the lot that's gray, that's paved. And then you'll notice, and Ms. Graves prepared very good map here we'll get to, you'll see one driveway kind of follows the southeastern property line. And then there's another driveway that kind of cuts through the eastern third of the property as well. What doesn't show up very well is another, looks like road bed or road cut here to the west. And she has that further down, and I've got it in here for us. This is the best street view that we got, but you can kind of see the cul-de-sac down in here, and then you see the kind of the driveways that kind of split off. The parcel was created back in 2004 out of this plat book, 94, page 156. Also, Ms. Graves provide this, identifies the lot more clearly out of the exhibit. I think this one's very helpful here as it shows the existing driveways or impacts that predate this current request. And so that's that cul-de-sac here in the very south center. And then you see the two driveways there on the southeast that were pretty evident in the aerial photo. And then she's also prepared a showing what would be the approximate additional area of disturbance for the house, maybe a kind of a designed house on that north central portion of the lot. And right here, it's kind of hard to see, but it says new driveway on existing graded area is what she has highlighted or indicated here. And then I'll let the applicant petitioner go through these exhibits. But these are historical aerial photos that she was able to procure. I think she's overlaid that with the disturbed areas. And then, as I mentioned early on, there is the petitioner's packet is very lengthy. It's about 94 pages here. So I just, by way of kind of simplicity, just kind of put in the first page of each document for these easements as a waypoint to go back to the board packet. So if that seems kind of truncated, that's why. And I'll let Ms. Graves explain those, each individual exhibit here, but I just wanted to kind of move through these so the board can see the HOA declaration. Exhibit 6, that shows the contour lines. There is a geotechnical report. I'm sorry, it's not exhibit 4. It should be exhibit 7. Here is the house laid in on the contour lines. And then there's some floor plans or elevations. And Ms. Graves can correct me. I don't believe this is exactly the house being built. But it's something to show what, an approximate what might be conceived to show up on the parcel. And I think this was the most important one, as mentioned earlier. I think it's about 38%. Marnie, do you remember what the exact percentage is? Again, I'm sorry, it's
down here on the left of that drawing, and it's 36.
I looked at earlier.
36.86 was what the surveyor calculated.
Okay, good. Thank you. So if we were, just want to say this out loud, if we receive this as the best information a surveyor can calculate it during a permitting review, we would take the surveyor's calculation over the LiDAR data that's just kind of flown over for steep slope. So sometimes there's a little bit of discrepancy in that LiDAR data on the calculator versus when we actually have a design professional do topo and calculate it. So in this case, the parcel will qualify for a 25% disturbed area allowance versus a 15%. So it's still not enough to grant or negate the need of a variance if they cannot construct on existing graded areas. So the variance request is still valid, but we just had maybe the gap between what they need and what was allowed is not quite as broad. So it might not be a 259% number on the first slide.
Ricky, can you run through those numbers again real quick, just so they're in my head as we're going through it? So it's 0.95 acres.
Yeah.
It's 36 and some change average natural slope. So they can grade 25%.
Yes, ma'am.
25% of the lot's a little bit over 10,000 square feet.
Correct.
And the lot is already graded based on the exhibits provided by the applicant to have how much?
I'll go back to the very beginning.
Yeah.
Let me go back to the very beginning. Sorry. It's already graded to the truck turn 9,978.
And the request is to have an additional 16,000 square feet.
Additional 6,200. So the
I gotcha.
16,000. I'm sorry. The 16,000 would be the existing plus the request.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's not very clear. I'm sorry.
No, I totally got it. Yep.
Okay. All right. Marnie, I'll bring up a board packet if you need me to bring that up.
Okay.
Would you like me to, is there anything else of the board questions about those numbers before I turn it over to the applicant's representative, Ms. Graves?
So tell me again, so explain to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Because this always gets me, just in general. If you have a site that has previously disturbed, that counts against you if it was disturbed prior to 2008? Or
yes, ma'am.
when the ordinance was written? So it does count against you?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not grandfathered in?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thanks.
Yeah, so that's the reason why the allowance for the parcel's already been kind of consumed by these driveways in the cul-de-sac.
Okay, got it.
All right. Marnie, let me know which, would you need to stay in the slideshow or would you like me to go to the board packet for you?
The slides that I provided, those first ones.
This one here, Exhibit 2.
Yeah, so you can see that the square footage here is listed on this of the existing drives, almost 10,000 square feet, which is close to the 25% allowed, which when we submitted this application, we didn't realize we were allowed 25. We were under the impression, based on the slope calculator, we were allowed 15%. So on the following slide, what we're asking for is what is 15% additional grading, so that we can build a house on this lot. The existing drive to the left was an old utility easement that's not paved presently, and then the other ones came in with, well, they've been there since the 50s, but became hard surfaces when the subdivision was made and those other lots developed. What's the next slide, Ricky? Yeah, so we were able to find these photos. You can see in the top center of each of the images, it gives the year that the aerial photo was taken. And you can see in the 50s, it's hard to see, but you can also see it in 75. That north drive that I mentioned was a utility easement. And then the top right is from 2000. The grading's already there, and then in 2019 we've got more hard surfaces, and you know, just historically that all the grading was here. It's very challenging to build on this since we're already past the capacity of what's allowed. So again, we're looking for an additional 15% grading. If you go up one slide, Ricky, again, this was a design we were working on previously. And we're not asking for the design. It's really just 6,200 square feet in that area, using that existing utility road to access the footprint of the new structure, the area that we're looking at grading. If you go back down to those aerial photos again, you'll see in the upper right corner that's 2000, and then the image below it shows a house to the north, which was permitted in 2008. That lot also has a lot of this historic grading on it as well. In talking with the zoning staff, we couldn't find any records of that lot going through the steep slope ordinance adopted in 2007. Scott, do you have additional comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we had all the wheels in motion, and you saw the survey. We had a geotech report done, some engineering, preliminary engineering, and architecture as well. And then we had a personal catastrophe, so we put it on hold for a period of time, and now here we are. So we appreciate you guys listening to the presentation and hearing us apply for a variance.
Do you all have any questions?
I just want to dive into the numbers real quick. So basically, if you were to comply with the ordinance, you could build a house and only disturb 367 square feet.
Based on what's the numbers that are allowed at 25%. Yeah, 25% would be 10,380, and we were already graded 9,978. So it's right at 400 square feet we would be able to meet. the ordinance.
That's what I needed to know. Thanks much.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Marnie, is there something about the deed restrictions too? You had mentioned to me in the pre-application meeting and you included the HOA. Is there any significant relevant information on that?
There's that existing drive to the north, the utility drive. That's, that shows up as an easement to the north lot, although you can see a drive lower was created for the north lot. So, all the drives to the southeastern portion are part of the subdivision plat. Those are easements to the other lots. So that, really binds the land here to that access.
I'm sorry. I think you had also mentioned about a minimum house size in our conversation.
That's right. The HOA has a minimum house size. Sorry, I didn't understand where you were going. And I believe it's 2,500 square feet.
That's right.
Any other further questions or comments? None?
Nope. Thank you.
Can I add something? Am I here?
Absolutely.
Can you hear me? It's Greg Blumby. Just kind of give you the context. The platted subdivision was approved prior to the steep slope ordinance, with some of these existing roadways in place, and then the laws changed. So it was approved by the city of Asheville. I'm just kind of giving you my perception of what happened, and then afterwards, after the approved plat, some of the rules that apply to the development changed. So ultimately, what was approved before for a platted subdivision no longer is exactly what the city allows. But that was when it was approved, that was taken into account some of these existing roads. If that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
Hey, Greg, were you sworn in at the very beginning?
I put my hand up. Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't see it at the very beginning.
Okay.
I missed you. All right, so make sure. Thank you.
All right. We're going to close off the comments and open it up for public comments. Do we have any callers?
We do have one additional caller from the last time and two other callers. Callers, if you want to speak on this agenda item, please press *3 to enter the speaker queue. They do have one speaker. This takes a minute.
Okay.
All right. All right, you are live now, speaker. Wait. Now it's starting. Can y'all hear this? Okay.
No, ma'am.
I can hear you. I can't hear it. Oh. Okay. Okay. I don't know how this is not working. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
The 855 number is still on mute.
So I don't know why that didn't, but it's actually the potential buyer of the lot was calling in to say thank you for the consideration.
Okay. So we don't have a caller?
I mean, she's still there. We just can't hear her.
If it's on the 855 number, is there, the administrator can unmute their phone or their window?
No, you can't unmute somebody that's muted themselves.
Yeah, and she wasn't unmuted to me. It just didn't come through on the 855, which is weird. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Haley doesn't know what's going on either.
Just trying to work through these technical difficulties.
Yeah. Thank y'all for bearing with us. We're sorry. So.
Nancy was doing everything right. I was watching. So, could the caller be muted on their end? Like, have you asked the caller if they're muted by chance, like on their phone?
Well, I heard her on my phone. So, ma'am, if you are there and you're unmuted now, if you want to speak.
The 855 number still shows as muted.
The 855 number will show as muted. That is the conference bridge.
That is how you disconnect someone.
Yeah.
Not mute them. It does look as.
You won't have her call me, Nancy, directly, and I'll just play it from my side if we need to. I don't mind talking to her. If it's just one caller, I don't mind.
Sure, I'll call her right now.
And just tell her to call my cell phone, and I'll just play it over on this side. We'll just.
Yeah, that is so bizarre because it connected. It's all connected. She's unmuted. I've never seen that where you can't hear them when that happens.
Yeah.
And it all looks right on the back end. Okay. All right. Looks like Ricky's got it settled. I'll leave you guys back to it.
All right, I've got her. She
Okay.
called me. She's been texting me.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay this way?
Yes.
My name is Wendy Liebowitz. I live in Florida with my husband, Frederick Jandal, and we are prospective buyers of this lot. So I just wanted to thank you for the consideration. Clearly, we'd love to make a purchase of this lot to build a home on it, but only if the variance is approved. It wouldn't do any good to purchase a lot that we're not allowed to build on. The HOA does have the minimum build amount of 2,500 square feet, so I can't even go smaller to stay within a variance, even if I wanted to, based upon the HOA documentation. So we plan on doing something that would have a daylight or week basement. So if possible, we can just, minimize the amount of land disruption if we can do a basement plus first floor. So that's all I wanted to share with you. It's a beautiful piece of property, and we would love to be landowners in the city of Asheville. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Wendy. Were you sworn in early on, Wendy? I know you.
I was on the call watching, but I don't know if watching from home, if you're able to do so.
All right, let me just get it on the record that you swore to or swear to solemnly affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board or have given to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have any other further questions or comments from anybody in public? Anybody else in queue?
Nope, there is no one else in the queue.
Okay, I'm going to close out public comments and open it up to the board for discussion, comments, and/or motions.
Hey, Ricky, this is Bill Newman. I just got a quick question. Why is some of this stuff not grandfathered through if it's already platted out for prior to the steep slope development?
That I can't go in. I don't know how to say. I know the steep slope ordinance allows for like up to 1,000 square feet of additional disturbance for these existing non-conforming lots. So I mean, if you have like some deferred maintenance on some tree growth or shrubs, and it makes it affords you the opportunity to remove that extra vegetation that may have filled in too close to a home. We sometimes see that with these homes built in the 50s or 60s on the mountainside. Originally they had a deck, and now people let stuff grow up that's 30, 40 foot tall. The ordinance is kind of silent. It just says that lots that were platted prior must meet the grading limits of this 712.4. I could go dig up the exact section. Go ahead, Eric.
I'll just add, I think that this is a unique situation. I don't think that the grading section of the steep slope ordinance contemplated something exactly like this, where so much of the lot is taken up with grading that doesn't include a house. So it'd be unusual to have exactly this situation show up anywhere else in the city, where it's multiple driveways that don't serve this property at all that are taking up the grading allowance, and that results in a significant amount of that allowance being used up without actually having a house on the site. And just one other point. I think I've mentioned this to this board in previous meetings, but I did just want to make sure that everyone knows that you are allowed to consider the application of restrictive covenants in the way that that would restrict this property. So that can factor into your consideration.
Thank you, Eric.
My comment is, I prior to the rules and the UDO changes, I don't think a lot or a owner of a lot should be penalized for things that occurred prior to the ordinance changes. And as such, I don't think that that they should. It seems like it would be a penalty not to approve this, and so I'm seeking a motion.
I think I'll make the motion to grant the variance.
Okay, I have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Suzanne seconds. Any other further discussions? Yeah, I'll take it to vote. Suzanne Godsey?
Aye.
Paul Wazinski?
Aye.
Bill Newman?
Aye.
And Pratik Bhakta is aye. Motion is approved and variance is granted.
Thank you, board.
Thank you, folks.
And finally, we have, if there are no objections, we will adjourn the meeting. Any objections? No, if there are none, then this meeting is adjourned.
Y'all have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.